All right, chapter 3, part 2, core tracking skills. So what's the best way to begin tracking calories if you've never done it before? And before we jump into weighing food, let's first cover where calorie information even comes from. This can go and get pretty in depth, and I'm not going to give you the perfect answers here because it'd be super boring. So I'm going to give you most of what you need to know. And there's always nuances. So if you know lots about this and you're like, this guy's an idiot, there's lots of nuance. This isn't to be the most in-depth core calorie tracking video in the world. This is to help people get started and continue making progress where they can continue to learn as they go, but they just need to take action and get ripping. That's who this is for. So, first things first, reading nutrition labels. Reading nutrition labels. Nutrition labels tell you two key things: how many calories are in one serving, and what unit that serving is measured in: grams, ounces, cups, etc. So, if you miss either part, your tracking will be more or less inaccurate. So always match the serving size on the label to the way you will weigh or measure the food out. So if you're gonna measure out rice and it tells you how much it is in cups or grams, try to measure it in cups or grams, because if you try and do a bunch of conversion and stuff, you're just asking for more trouble. So find the serving size on a label. 1 cup, 56 is 56 grams of dry pasta, something like that. The calories per serving, we'll pull one up here for you. Nutrition label for pasta. Beautiful. Go find an image. Bada bing, bada boom. You guys should be able to see this. Oh, we'll zoom in. Cool. I understand. Boom. Calorie label. So you can see here, see if I can zoom in for you. Maybe. Nope. Okay. I don't think that's helping. All right, but you can see here, I'll move that label around right here where my cursor is. 2 ounces or 56 grams is 200 calories. 3.5 ounces or 99 grams is 350 calories. And then you can see the fat content, the carb content, and the protein content. So for all intents and purposes, this is what generally nutrition labels look like most of the time, very similar to one another. And yeah, they're listed out in ounces or grams or cups or whatever that thing may be. And yeah, that's what we're talking about here for nutrition labels. So find the serving size on the label. We just did that. Note the calories per serving. Bada bing, 200 calories. Look at that. It's right on. Didn't even use that one for the example. So from there, you'll weigh your portion. So this is where having a food scale would help. I'll talk about that in a second. But you can also measure, if you don't have a food scale, you can measure it or whatever, however you want to do it. So with this one, it would be kind of hard to measure this out without a scale because it's in ounces and grams, but you could do it if you need to. But that's, it's measured in mass. So having a food scale, which I'll explain in a second, just helps a lot with that and for accuracy and consistency, etc. So weigh your portion. So if you weigh out 84 grams of dry pasta, 84 times 56 or divided by 56 grams in one serving gives you 1.5 servings. 200 calories in a serving times 1.5 servings, which we just calculated, is 300 calories. So 84 grams of dry pasta, 300 calories. That's how you guys will convert things and calculate over time, for your calorie tracking. So pick the grams or ounces most of the time over cups if you can, especially if you have a scale. Cups are relatively imprecise and scales are more accurate. If you have flour, for example, if you're weighing in grams, it's going to be more accurate because you can pack flour really densely if you want inside of a cup, and that will affect how much flour is in there, believe it or not. So 1 cup can be a little different time to time, but 56 grams of flour is 56 grams of flour, no matter how densely you pack it. And that's how it is for most things that you can pack like that. So confirm whether the label refers to cooked or uncooked weight, especially with proteins. We'll discuss that later on. And for bulk prepping, the total, the dry weight, and the calories, and then portion out after cooking usually makes it easiest and fastest for you. And we'll go over that again in more detail in the future. So from labels to actual measurement. Once you know how to read a label, the next step is to apply it consistently. That means using a food scale. I have used a food scale for a long time. It doesn't make you a crazy person to have a food scale. You're just measuring things. It doesn't make you crazy to use an app. This is the one I have. You can use whatever food scale. This one's $8 right now. It's super easy. So use whatever food scale you want. It doesn't make you crazy to have it. It doesn't make you crazy to have an app that helps you track your budget for your spending with your money. It doesn't make you crazy. It's your life. Live it however you want. Try the food scale out. It's $8. Makes it a lot easier than eyeballing, and measuring cups are, kind of annoying sometimes. So you just put everything on the scale, and it's super accurate, and bada bing, bada boom. So eyeballing portions is better than nothing, but it's rarely accurate. A digital scale, $15 on Amazon, we just saw it was only 8 right now, is far more reliable. Just weighing it yourself provides accurate feedback for body weight trends. Oh, sorry. Just as weighing yourself provides accurate feedback for body weight trends, weighing food ensures accuracy for calorie intake. That's a good point because I wrote it. That's why it's a good point. But it's also a good point because if you just try to look at yourself in the mirror and decide if you're losing weight or not, it'd be kind of bullshit. Nobody thinks weighing themselves is a bad way to go about accurately making change to themselves. And so weighing your food is a good idea. You can talk your way around it. You can tell yourself stories about how it makes you obsessive and all this stuff. But if you're not where you want to be, try something a little different. I recommend using a food scale. Once you learn how to meal plan and structure meals the way you want, you really end up not needing to measure all that often. You may not measure at all. You may buy things that are pre-portioned and stuff like that. And you'll find ways around it to make your life easy. But using a food scale and learning that skill now is a really good idea. And I would highly recommend it. So rules of thumb for weighing food. For grains and carbs, rice, oats, quinoa, pasta, etc., they absorb water differently when they are cooked. And the exact amount depends on cooking time. The exact amount of water it absorbs depends on cooking time, method, even the pot you use. So the variability makes cooked weight less consistent than dry weight. So weigh them dry, and then you'll cook them and then portion it out after. So weigh your grains dry before cooking. This explains to you an example. I'm not going to read it out to you, but basically, all right, I'll read it out to you. If you log 100 grams of dry rice, it does not matter whether it later absorbs 200 or 300 grams and weighs a lot more. It still contains the same calories because you weighed it dry. So 100 grams of dry rice, whether it weighs 300 grams total afterwards or 400 grams after cooking, it doesn't matter. It's still the same original 100 grams of dry rice. So if you meal prep in bulk, weigh the dry grain before cooking, and then divide the cooked batch after it's all done into the number of portions based on that total. So 300 grams of dry jasmine rice. The label says it's 180 calories per serving, 50 grams dry. That means there is 6 servings because 300 divided by 50 is 6, which gives you 1,080 calories. So you cook your rice as usual. It doesn't matter how much water it absorbs. And then you portion the batch in one of 2 ways. You eyeball it roughly into 6 equal servings. Each are about 180 calories. Or you weigh the fully cooked batch. Say it now weighs 1,200 grams. And you divide that by 6. And now it's about 200 grams per cooked rice serving. So each 200 gram cooked rice portion is 180 calories. However you want to go about it. Proteins, I generally I generally weigh them raw because, again, they can lose different amounts of water just as grains can absorb it. Proteins can lose it. You may strain it differently. It may be more or less lean than another cut or type of protein you had. So raw weight is generally the gold standard because there's less variability based on cooking method. But weighing it raw means you have to touch more raw meat. It gives you more chance to, do bad things with raw meat, touching other foods in your hands and all that crap. So either way is really fine. Just be consistent in how you do it. Weigh proteins raw whenever it's possible. If you're weighing it cooked, use a reliable conversion chart. For example, 8 ounces of raw beef usually cooks down to about 6 ounces of cooked beef after you cook it and strain it. So depending on the fat content and the cooking method, it'll vary a little bit, but just try and be consistent with how you weigh it over time. Pick a method, raw or cooked, and do it the same every time, yada yada. Dry goods and powders. This is the flour, whey protein, flour, peanut butter. Oats was a grain too, but it's kind of the same thing. Scoop sizes can lie to you because of how densely, like I said, you can pack it. You can have it heaping, whatever. So half a cup of oats equals 52 grams, but your half cup scoop might hold 65 or 70 grams depending on how it's packed. So test your scoop against the scale a few times. That means fill it up, see what it actually weighs. See if it's the truth. See if you have a truth-telling scoop. And then usually with powders, you just generally want to weigh them in grams if you can. If you're cooking for your family for Thanksgiving or something, you're like, I do not give a shit how many calories are in this, then just scoop away, just for speed's sake. But Otherwise, the scale is going to be more accurate for your own dietary needs. So it can vary a lot by percentages, etc. Nut butters and oils, a tablespoon of peanut butter could be 16 grams on paper, but it could be 20 plus grams in reality. And small errors, especially if you eat them every day or for multiple meals, small errors can add up quickly. Liquids, milk, yada yada. They can be calorie dense. You can weigh oils or dressings on the scale in grams. I would not rely on tablespoons because, again, it can just be inaccurate and you can overfill it, etc. Milk or juice, you can weigh in grams or millimeters. It's all the same conversion. 1 gram equals 1 millimeter for all intents and purposes on a bullshit Amazon scale. So it just assumes everything is the same, like density as water. So just grams and millimeters are the same. If you see the scale and it says grams and millimeters, they're basically the same thing for all intents and purposes as it relates to the scale. So yeah, the carton label will give you the conversion of grams to, or sorry, milliliters to cups and all that stuff. So you know how to read the label, you know how to do that stuff. Alcohol, the actual grams poured, not in, go by the actual grams poured, not a shot or a glass. That's for liquor. Beer by the can usually will tell you how many calories are in the can. That's a big thing now, and those are usually pretty accurate. So you can just go right off of the box or can or whatever the calories are listed. But yeah, go by Google and how many calories are in a shot of whatever liquor you're drinking if you want to track your alcohol calories, which is a good idea. So the principle of consistency. The method you choose matters less. The method you choose matters less than whether you repeat it with Jesus, Louises. The method you choose matters less than whether you repeat it without deviation. Raw versus cooked. So yeah. The principle of consistency. The method you actually choose matters less than whether you repeat it with or without deviation. Raw versus cooked, ounces versus grams. You just pick your system and stick to it. Inconsistency is the enemy. So consistency sharpens your eye for portions over time. So try and measure it consistently. However you're going to measure it, raw versus cooked, in cups versus not in cups, etc. Just do that consistently over time. Eventually you'll get a feel for what your portion size looks like for the food you eat and measure consistently. But that intuition is only built on the foundation of measured practice and doing it consistently over time. Logging tools. So tools for logging things. Now that you actually know how to get started weighing and measuring your foods, where do you go to actually log all this information you're tracking? Two of the most popular options are MyFitnessPal and MacroFactor. Both get the job done, but they each have strengths and trade-offs. The right one for you depends on whether you value simplicity, customization, coaching, or cost. MyFitnessPal will be the first one we'll go through. So MyFitnessPal has been dominant in the food logging app landscape, I guess, for over a decade. Its main strength is accessibility. So it has a very large database of foods that you can search without having to create foods manually, which just means if you're wanting to log food and you want to log a bag of Doritos or a bowl of Doritos or 500 grams of Doritos, you can just search your Doritos in there or burger or chicken nuggets or whatever it is that you're eating. Ideally, it's healthier foods than these, but you can search whatever in there and it'll usually pull up a really close option, if not the exact one, and allow you to find that exact thing, especially at restaurants and stuff. It's nice. It has barcode scanner, which I think is a paid feature now, but it still has that option, which is really nice. So if you just want to scan the barcode on the food you're eating, it will pull that right up for you. It has integrations, so it can show you stuff like your activity levels or sleep from Garmin, Fitbit, Apple Health, etc. It's very easy to use, familiar interface, makes it really approachable for beginners to get in and just get started. And there's a free version, so it allows you to track basic calories and macros, and I use the free version, and it's more than enough for what I'm trying to do, but you can use the paid version if you want, but it allows you to get started for free and keep using it for free indefinitely. So the free version runs ads, whatever. The database is mostly user generated, just meaning there can be variability and human error in what's generated in the database of foods, but most of it's very accurate, and you can check it against your label just to make sure. So anyways, it's more of a beginner-friendly app in my opinion, but it's what I use, and I've been using it for a long time. I wouldn't consider myself necessarily a beginner. So yeah, it's super functional if you want to use it long-term. MacroFactor is the second one that I will discuss. MacroFactor is a newer app, and it has more of a coaching mindset, so it'll actually coach you over time. But the downside, and it's very accurate. The database is all verified. It's probably more accurate, but it's a little bit less robust. You may not find as many foods as you would find in MyFitnessPal, but you'll still find pretty much any food you're looking for, and it'll be accurate. Super clean interface. It tracks both macros and micronutrients, which is nice. MyFitnessPal does that as well. And it emphasizes long-term sustainability rather than short-term logging. So some of the limitations are that it is paid, so it gives you a free trial, which is awesome. So give it a shot, see what you think. But after the free trial, it does make you go to a paid version. It's super nice, and if you want more in-depth like coaching or feedback from the app, you're going to probably get that from Macro Factor. So that's where Macro Factor is better, in my opinion. So there's a summary for you guys to read over, basically just exactly what I said. But at the end of the day, both apps essentially do the same job. They help you build awareness of what you're actually eating and help you to track it. So the specific tool that you pick matters less than the act of tracking, like actually logging the stuff. Whatever tool you pick doesn't matter if you don't track it. Your car doesn't matter if you don't drive it. So, you need to get in the thing and drive the dang thing. So think of the app like a compass or a car. My analogy is better. It keeps you oriented, but you're still the one who has to move it forward. So if you're still pondering your choice, you can use, made a little comparison chart. You guys can take a peek at. Close out of these other tabs. You can check out this comparison chart. I'm not going to go too crazy on it right now, but you can go read through that on your own time and see which one seems like a better fit for you if you're still pondering it. But yeah, just pick one, get ripping with it. We've talked about how to measure things. Again, you guys can let me know if you have questions on any of this. DM me, whatever. If you're like, the measuring thing still doesn't make sense to me. How do I measure this or that? Like you didn't talk about these things. Let me know what you think and what questions you have, and we'll go over them. So beyond calories. Calories are the most direct fat loss lever you can measure, but they are only part of the system. Sleep, daily activity, and body weight trends all influence how well your nutrition plan works. If you focus on calories in isolation while ignoring recovery or movement, progress slows and fatigue builds. By tracking these additional levers alongside food intake, you create a more holistic view of your progress. The first of these levers, and often the most neglected, is sleep. Without adequate rest, even the best diet and training plans will struggle to produce long-term results. Boom.